Highball! Sounds like a baseball umpire making a call or a Las Vegas casino game, but it's actually a cocktail. It links Manhattan and Tokyo, it changed Japan, and is exactly like Matthew McConaughey. Alright, I'm Krista Curry, and this is a brief history of the highball. Before we dive in, you know the drill. Subscribe to our channel and hit that bell button. Now, let's play ball! So, what's a highball? Technically, it's any alcohol mixed with a larger part of non-alcoholic mixer, such as Cuba Libre, rum and coke, or even a gin and tonic. But we're talking about a specific highball that was born in New York, became one of the cornerstones of Japanese drinking culture, and has evolved into the high-quality ready-made drink we know today. Why highball, though? That's a silly name for a cocktail, right? Well, ball was slang for glass in the 1890s, which makes me wonder what the hell football meant back then. Bartenders put their whiskey sodas in those high glasses, also known as highballs. But who invented the highball? A lot of spirits and cocktails follow the same story arc. Disputed origins, rise to fame, disappearance into oblivion, a spectacular comeback, and people wondering how they could live without them in the first place. You know, just like Matthew McConaughey. Now, Harry Johnson wrote about highball in his famous bartender's manual way back in 1900, and said you make it by mixing scotch and siphon Vichy, the seltzer of choice at that time. Fun fact, we call sparkling water seltzer because the German town of Selters was first to bottle and market their natural carbonated water back in the 18th century. To meet the inventor, though, we have to rewind to 1894 when Patrick Gaffin's bar in New York got a famous visitor, a British actor, E.J. Ratcliffe. You know, the Tom Holland of the 1890s. The fella ordered a simple drink he enjoyed back home, whiskey and soda in a high glass. Gavin recognized a good idea and started making the mix regularly. Soon, all the Broadway actors and every New Yorker wanted a Scotch highball. That, dear friends, changed history. The Japanese had been making their own whiskey since Yamazaki made Japan's first malt whiskey in 1924. You can watch a video on that if you click up there. Now, the Japanese love whiskey so much that they wanted to drink it during meals as well. So they came up with a neat life hack to make it more drinkable. Add soda water. It was a cheap way to have a drink after the war, but in the 1950s it was reinvented when Japan went through a miraculous economic growth. New businessmen called the salarymen appeared, and they unwound after work with whiskey and soda. It became a thing in like a second. To cash in, Suntory opened more than 1,500 Tories bars. They even came up with a mascot called Uncle Tories, who personified the white-collar highball lovers and brokered a peace deal between the cowboys and the Native Americans. Hey, it's Japan we're talking about. So our hero is at his peak. Now it's time for the sad part of the movie. The fame lasted for a couple of years, but then highball became the drink for old smelly guys while the cool kids drank beer, gin, or vodka. Add the 1992 economic collapse that made whiskey too expensive, and you have a crisis on your hands. Japanese whiskey makers started exporting most of their juice, and even though most of the world fell into a J-whiskey mania, the domestic market couldn't care less. What they needed was a reboot of an old hero that would appeal to the youth. The industry's own Chris Nolan. Again, it was Suntory that seized the opportunity and decided to can highball. They marketed it as a chic refreshment for the kids. It was convenient, cheap, and actually really good. Plus, they brought Uncle Tories back. People loved it. Highball was everywhere, in a can, on tap, in special highball bars, in vending machines. Even Jack Daniels and Jim Beam made their own versions. Highball virtually killed beer and shochu. Now, you shouldn't dismiss highball as just whiskey and soda, no siree. When it comes to highball, the Japanese don't mess around. Japanese mixologists are very meticulous. They make sure ice is clear and of the right size. They take extra steps to stir the carefully measured ingredients perfectly. They keep an eye on the temperature and the level of carbonation. It's science. Just splashing seltzer into a glass of whiskey does not a highball make. So how do you make one at home? First, add ice to the highball glass and stir to chill it. Throw away any melted water. Add whiskey and stir clockwise 13.5 times. I'm not kidding, it's that specific. Then add 3 times as much highly carbonated seltzer and stir 3.5 times. Make sure the ice has no bubbles. Add a dash of lemon juice and you're done. Saying Uncle Tori's 3 times makes it even better, I hear. What a ride, huh? Highball was the drink of the poor, and then it was the drink of the executives. It was insanely popular, and then it was as uncool as upturned collars. Today, both kids and old geezers love the deceptively simple design of Highball. It can be an easy drink that goes nicely with your lunch, or refreshment from a can, or a painstakingly crafted cocktail. Get yourself a good whiskey, sparkling water, a high glass, and say hi to Highball.